Welcome to my house.
I hate when you say that.
And to another episode of the Back Catalogue podcast. This is the podcast where we are back in the studio. And by we, I mean me, Apple, my co-host / co-founder, Vincent. We dive into the streaming services. We tell you, the listener and the viewer, what is worth and what is not. And Vincent, we're back. We're back. It feels good to be home. We're back here. I'm not slouching. I'm standing up. Like, things are good.
You're standing up?
I'm standing up. I'm standing up. And so are you, because we are standing up today for 2015's very own Mad Max Fury Road. But Vincent, before we get into this, I want to know how you going, man.
Apostoli, I had COVID. I had it, bro. I had it. But I've recovered now.
Dude,
I'm day 3. I've recovered.
Yeah, and that's it. Like, because really, we're not medical specialists on this podcast, so we won't get into it. But really, what's going to help everyone, COVID or not, is us going through Mad Max Fury Road.
That's right. We just had to do it.
You were looking at me ready for us to have to stop the podcast.
Yeah. I was about to press the button. I was going, no, we're going to do this. We can't do this.
But look, there's no need to press the button because right now we're doing 2015's very own Mad Max Fury Road. And we might get into this right now.
I mean, I heard that there was a Tom Hardy type that was in this movie.
Dude, there might be a Tom Hardy
And I've watched it
type.
and like people still talking and I'm still not sure.
That's exactly right. And that's what this movie will do to you, but we'll get into it. It's got the 8.1 out of 10 on the IMDb. It's got the 97% on the Rotten Tomatoes. This has an 86% on Just Watch.
And a 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
It could. I have no Letterboxd business here, but let me tell you, it had a budget of 150.6 to 185.1 million.
See, when they're giving you numbers like that, you believe them a bit more, even if they could be absolute rubbish. But when someone just says, yeah, it was 120 million. Someone was like, hey, it's 220, just round it down. You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying. Like, if you got a 0.1 in there.
151.6.
Yeah.
Someone's carrying the zeros.
That's exactly
carrying
right.
the ones. You don't carry zeros.
No, 100%. Something's being carried. Whether it's logs or zeros, like something's being carried. And this had a box office of 415.2 million.
See, someone's paying their accountant right.
That's what it is, man. And like, I'm going to get into the synopsis and then we can get into this. In a post-apocalyptic wasteland, Max, a drifter and survivor, unwillingly joins Imperator Furiosa, a rebel warrior in a quest to overthrow a tyrant who controls the land's water supply.
Also, did you see that Max has a last name?
He had a last name in these last movies, man.
In all of them?
Rockatansky.
Rockatansky. I did not know that.
I'm fairly sure. If we look at Mad Max, let's look at Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, for example.
The worst Mad Max movie.
The worst Mad Max movie that I've seen.
Maybe the worst movie.
I mean, this one could be. We haven't talked about this yet.
This one is definitely not the worst movie.
But he is Max Rockatansky in that movie.
It's interesting that they just got the same dude. Because I reckon it would have been cool if, obviously at the end of the movie he goes, hey, hello, I'm Max. Hello, nice to meet you, I'm Max. And you just don't know if it's actually...
If it's actually Max.
If it's actually Max.
Yeah. We're going to get into the It's Max because I have one qualm with the It's Max reveal at the end. But you're saying
it's
like...
Max.
It's
Max.
If at the end he was like, my name's Steve.
No, I'm saying if it was still Max, but you don't know, because obviously he's not the same actor.
Oh, let's say, for example, I'm trying to think of a last name of people that I don't know who are named Max. Like Max Gracie. Like that could be his last name. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, but I'm saying you don't give him the last name. You just say it's Max, and then people can speculate whether it's actually the same universal. You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Because you're looking at Mel, you're looking at Tom, and you're saying like, there's one of these is a Rockatansky, and one of them is not.
And one of these is mad, and one of these is not.
One of them looks like they've done acting before, and one of them has looks like that they have just been, hey, this guy looks like he fits the description of what I got in my head.
Yeah.
If he can act or not, doesn't really matter. It's just the aesthetic.
Like one of them's done xenophobia, the other one's done acting. And Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
One of them's done xenophobia.
So we just get into this because
this
is just a fun movie to just talk about.
This is a fun movie to talk about. And this is also by far the best Mad Max movie, and it is the best version of the Mad Max universe.
100%.
100%. This is it's not even close. And, George knocked it out of the park because Mans is directing this one. And he came in, 2015's very own.
Yeah.
He'd just been in hibernation for 40 years. And he said to some Hollywood execs, he said, put 151.6 to 180.4 on the budget, and I'll give you 451.7.
I mean, to make this movie, you have to go into hibernation. You have to do when bloody, if we're talking about Dragon Ball, when Vegeta's in that tank.
Bro,
just
Vegeta,
building up, right?
He's just in that tank and it's just rainwater.
It's just rainwater.
Some dude's sipping and it's just got Vegeta sweat with it.
Dude, you get that spicy rainwater? That's what people say, but it's actually Vegeta.
I've never seen Dragon Ball.
I'm just using this off of a reference that I've seen in a meme one time.
Do they ever find all the Dragon Balls?
I think they do because heads die and then heads come back. And
Is
they
that
use
what
the Dragon Balls together because it's one wish.
Oh, that's rough.
Then the Dragon Balls get sent around the universe.
Oh.
So you do your one wish and you go, Dragon Balls.
You do no. So if you do this properly, you do your one wish.
Yeah.
And then you got baseball catches everywhere. You just got them everywhere.
Yeah.
And then it's the dragon. The dragon does the thing. The dragon scatters the balls, and you just got heads around, and they're just catching them.
Dude, you set up a dome of straight up just baseball mitts.
No, bro, you just do it in a net.
Or you do it in a net.
You just do it in a net.
Yeah.
The dragon looks. Oh, gee.
Yeah, man.
He's got me. He's just there granting wishes.
And then he's talking about Dragon D's. But we'll get into this movie before we get too far into Dragon Ball Z, a movie that we have watched on this podcast.
Dragon Ball or this movie?
No, we watch both Dragon Ball Evolution and this movie. We've done both. But we haven't talked about this movie yet. So let's talk about Mad Max Fury Road. From the start, the thing that this movie does well, and I think that it takes well from aspects of the previous movies, is that it is simply a car chase the whole time. I know that it's not.
And that's the best part. I'll let you finish.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I won't yet. The thing that makes this movie the best Mad Max is what Mad Max kind of is to its core. Not necessarily, technically what it is, but what people envision Mad Max. They envision Mad Max in a car chase, and it's just wild, and there's people throwing stuff, and there's people that you think they're dead, but then they come back and then they're under the bottom of a car, and then they're in the sand, and then they've got a boot and a bit of fabric, and then they, it's wildness, and it's a car chase. And that's pretty much what this is.
Yeah.
And even apart from that, it's got all the best parts that we've covered in the first two Mad Max movies. We can forget the third one because that was garbage completely.
There wasn't a lot of good in it.
No, there was not much good in it at all. And this one does pretty much everything that you imagine Mad Max to be. It does the environment, the post-apocalyptic, the wasteland. It sets the scene better. It's got a really great cast of interesting characters that are just in there for a second, but then it's also got the crazy villains.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, the majority of characters that are just in there for a second who are exciting are the villains. You see one of the ones that everyone talks about is the dude playing the guitar, strapped into the...
He's not the villain. He's just there. He's just saying, I want to play the guitar.
But he's doing villainous things. If you're playing the guitar for a specific brand of villains, you're the villainous person.
He's not there playing the guitar with one hand, open firing in the other hand.
He does try to fight Max on one occasion.
But if someone came to your house and you didn't know who they were, you'd start fighting them.
I would, man. And you know what? If my partner knew them, I could be the villain.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
so
right.
He's a misunderstood villain.
He's a misunderstood villain.
But yeah, you got the dudes on the drums. You got just dudes rolling around with big feet. You got a dude with swollen feet. Needs to go see a podiatrist, but who's got podiatry in the post-apocalyptic world?
That's right.
It is 100%. The one thing that I think we touched on, especially in the first one, that we liked was the characters, and that every character felt unique, and it felt like you could look at that character and just by the look of them get a whole backstory on them. And that's what this movie took.
Yeah.
And then from the second one, we have that awesome chase scene at the end, which is one of the best parts of the original three Mad Max movies. This movie is that on steroids somehow.
It's most of the movie, which is fantastic because they didn't need to do they could have gone to the green place or whatever, and it could have been, hey, there's a waterfall here, and like there's kids that can't speak properly, and it'll just annoy the hell out of you for 15 minutes, and then, oh no, they're back. The bad guys are back. We've got to go back. Yeah. It was just a car chase for, I'd say, 80% of the movie.
My favorite thing about the car chase was that when they eventually got to the place that they wanted to get to, they were like, hey, look, let's just go back.
No, they weren't. Let's just go back.
Max had told them, like, you got to go back.
Look, I can't see nothing for about 160 days, but that's how far we could go, and we can see. And the thing is, they in Australia.
Yeah.
If you're at the wrong part of Australia and you go, hey, well, we can't go back, but we can go forward, you might be like near out of Sydney, and you might be looking at Western Australia.
And that's not a short distance.
That's not a short distance, and there's not a lot there.
No.
You're just looking at sand and salt.
And that's exactly right. But the thing that I really loved about the reason that they went back is because they were like, hey, look, you guys, you thought you had enough of this car chase, but let me bring you out with some more stuff. And it gets more exciting.
Yeah, the car chase on the way back
somehow gets more exciting than it already was. We had a sandstorm with cars flying and people screaming and getting thrown into like electrical storms, right? We had dudes falling off of cars, jumped back onto cars, as Vincent said. And then somehow, on the way back, it gets more exciting. The thing that I loved, my favorite part of this is just what goes into like the choreography of this.
I was just about to say, how do you organize something like this? Because this was, they're real cars.
They're real cars and real people just floating between cars on like a bungee, on a like
pogo
stick thing. Yeah. You know, there's obviously there's strategies put in place so people just don't die. But I mean, you're still working with like automobiles. And
they're some wild automobiles.
Yeah.
There were 2 semi-trailers.
With like tankers on the back and all sorts of stuff.
One of them, the one that they had, that Furiosa was piloting, that one made sense. They were doing a supply run. Bigfoot has got a trailer and it looks like he's just got a bunch of other cars. He's just one of those car transport ones. And he's just gone, well, like I got big feet and like I got to haul some cars, and that's it.
And that's exactly right. One of the things that I just want to quickly get into before we get too far into just like rattling off things that we like was let's talk about like each of the primary villains before we talk about the heroes of this piece.
Realistically, there's only the one primary villain.
Well, sorry, there's each of the, let me say each of the not villages as such, but the different spaces.
I like it. The different villages.
There's
different villages.
What's it called? There's like Guntown, Gastown.
There's Gastown and there's
Bullet Farm,
Bullet O'Bill Farm,
and then there's one where like everyone looks like echidnas. But
that one's different. They're not.
They're just out on the road.
They're like they're the Russians that are somehow stuck in that area.
So you've got Immortan Joe, who is the main bad.
Yeah.
And this is the same dude from the first Mad Max movie.
Which is wild.
Which is fantastic. And also when you think about him being, so Immortan Joe, you think about him being the same dude. Like he could be the same guy.
That's right.
Which would be fantastic. And like, I mean, we might look in trivia and it's the same. It is the same dude. But
as in the same actor?
It is the same actor.
You're saying is it the same character?
But it could be the same character.
It's probably the same character.
One of the things that, I mean, you see a character like Immortan Joe, he's a dude with a mask that's got a face on it, right? With teeth and all sorts.
No, it doesn't have a face. It's just got a teeth.
It's just got teeth.
It's just got teeth.
Have you seen he opens up at times when he's yelling?
I didn't notice that.
You see his like tongue like waggling about.
I did see his tongue when they got ripped off.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. Because you had the downward shot at the end and all I could see was the tongue.
Because that tongue was like out like, like a dog that's like just tongue out. Like one of them big Dobermans,
Yeah.
Is it Doberman the correct terminology? Is that Scooby?
Yeah, of course.
That's Scooby?
Yeah.
You've got that character who in himself is just intimidating and scary, but he's also like a weak looking man. Like there's parts of him that are weak because obviously he's needing all this oxygen and like he needs, baby powder on his skin.
Because they're all living out in a nuclear wasteland with not much water and there's probably not a lot of food. Like, they've probably all got scurvy.
Oh, dude, they definitely got scurvy. They got something else. Because if you don't have lemons, right? Like if you don't have vitamin C, let's say, because I can't remember what scurvy is.
Yeah, it's the fruits.
It's the fruits and the vegetables.
It's the fruits.
If you don't have that, you got nuclear waste as well. And then plus on top of that, right, you start spraying stuff in your mouth, like chrome.
Yeah, but you're only meant to do that when you're about to die.
One man did that like 3 times.
Yeah, because he was meant to die 3 times. He's been like, why can't I just go out in a blaze of glory? He, would go down and he gets tripped up by his own chain. Like, someone take that off.
Yeah.
He didn't have to have a chain. He didn't have the thing attached to him. Tom Hardy wasn't attached to him no more.
But he could have been like Slick Rick. So one of the things that I love about Immortan Joe is whatever that man's name is, Rictus Erectus. So I got to find this. But his son, Rictus Erectus, that is his name. His son, the dude that's built like man's from Mad Max 2.
Yeah.
What was that guy's name from Mad Max 2?
I don't know.
Humongous.
Oh, Humongo or something. Humongous.
Yeah. So one of Immortan Joe's sons is just this jacked up dude who is just the whole time. I don't know what it is about this character, but he just makes me laugh every time he was on screen. I think because he's a bit daft, like he's not 100% there.
One of the better. I had a baby brother. He was perfect in every way.
Like things like that.
You imagine looking at a guy like that and you're going, we following these dudes? For real?
I think that's the best part about him because, like, Immortan Joe, like, you can say, okay, I can understand why we're following this dude. Like, he's pretty intimidating.
Yeah, he also controls the water.
He also got all the water. Like, he opens up a valve and just, he's letting a lot of water go.
Yeah,
he's not really thinking about it.
The first thing I was thinking when they did that, and obviously, they're probably sleep deprived. They probably got scurvy because, like, when life gives you lemons, you hoard them.
Yeah.
You don't make lemonade because, like, lemonade don't cure scurvy.
And it's not going to last.
No, that's right.
Especially on a hot day.
And I was thinking, if they organise themselves, right, and they had some sort of set up that they would get the water, they'd go, Immortan Joe would bring out like 500 gallons of water in like half a second, and they'd be there, and they go, all right, let's go, and they just go into some formation, and then they'd be able to take out all the water, distribute it evenly between all the people. There'd be no issues.
One of the issues is they've got salad bowls and like one man's got like
That's right, because they're not organised.
Yeah, but we're talking about you can't find lemons, you're going to find salad bowls. Like things that are like better than salad bowls. You know what I mean? Like things are scarce.
So hold on, what's the issue that you have with this plan?
Like this guy's got a salad bowl, right? Let's say 6 dudes got salad bowls.
Yeah, but there would be other ways to do things. You don't have to have a big bucket.
Because here's the thing, right? You got 6 dudes with salad bowls, right? One of the guys inevitably is going to go like, and he's going to drop it because it gets too heavy on one side, right? Because he's got scurvy, so one of his arms doesn't work.
See, this is not organisation. This is just 6 dudes with salad bowls who are not fighting over it. They're just standing there instead. That's not organisation.
But that's what I'm saying. In a space full of scurvy and scum, that's the organisation you get.
In a space full of scurvy and scum, like you getting salad bowls.
Like they'd be like, they'd like do it.
No, that's
hear ye. Who has the strongest of the salad bowls? And like 6 dudes come out.
I have the chosen salad bowl.
And then they go out and one of them drops it.
Yeah.
There's no organisation. What could have happened was
No, I know the reasons they don't have organisation because they've got scurvy.
That's right.
But I'm saying if they did, then Immortan Joe would have no power because they go, well, we can live adequately if we distribute this water and not just come here with salad bowls.
Look,
who's got the lettuce? Somebody's looking around for like some cucumbers.
You just set yourself in that space, and we could whip out the analogy of the iceberg. And there's a lot of factors why like these dudes aren't.
Oh no, I'm not saying that there's a reasonable, way for them to start organising their salad bowls. I'm just saying, imagine if they did.
Imagine if they did, like someone would get some form of leaders.
But that's the difficulty with when you got people in power and then you got people who are uneducated and unable.
And also, like how often are they like busting that out? The water.
I don't know. I'd say probably like a week, every week. Immortan Joe, he wakes up, he goes to church. Sunday he goes to church, comes home, has lunch. Says grace with like humongous and
all 6 of his wives.
And they're just looking at him like, "Oh, if this knife wasn't blunt, I would stab you right where you sit."
Yeah.
And then he goes out and he
presses the
here's the
buttons.
water. He presses the buttons.
And he says, "I'm way up. I feel blessed." He's like the DJ Khaled of like because if DJ Khaled was around in post-apocalypse, he would be Immortan Joe.
That's true.
Because he's got the facilities and also he's mad. And I mean, to survive in this world and to not only survive but to thrive, you must be mad. One of the other dudes, speaking of mad, the guy from Bullet Town or Bullet Farm, his whole outfit is just bullets.
And he's got bullets in his teeth.
Yeah. What a fun character for like 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah. No, see, exactly. This dude is on screen for all of probably 5 minutes. Yeah. He's going, "Hey, what are we doing out here? Why are we following you? I'm going to go get him now." And he's just there and he's just shooting at the wind. He
rolls out looking for Furiosa.
With a tank.
And he's just shooting.
And then he gets blinded and he's still shooting.
Dude, I love that part when he gets shot in the eyes and he's like, "Turn on the flame." And he's like, "We have. Bring it closer." And they've got like a flame right up to his face. And he's like, "I can't see it." And then they put a bandage on him and he's like, talking about how he's like, the harbinger of death.
Oh, jeez. And then he gets blown up by Max.
He gets blown up by Max off screen, which is fantastic as well.
Yeah.
There's obviously the guy, John Howard. The actor's name is John Howard, who we actually saw in Razorback. Mans is in Razorback. The dude with the big feet in this movie.
He was in Razorback.
He was in Razorback. He was there was the lady in Razorback that goes over initially to do the interviews with like animal abusers and whatnot.
Yeah.
The man that's with her initially who's like, "Hey, I'll be your cameraman."
The cameraman was Big Feet.
That's Big Feet.
Big Feet.
That's Russell Big Feet.
Bro, he didn't have big feet back then.
He didn't have big feet, man, because like back in those days, like he had access to podiatry clinic.
Yeah.
And I mean, if your feet are gone wrong and you have access to podiatry clinic, like they're the people that will get it right.
Excuse me, sir. Are your feet wrong? Do you have access to podiatry clinic? You should go to podiatry clinic. Thank you. This is brought to you by Podiatry Clinic.
I mean, that's free advertisement for Podiatry Clinic.
That's free advertising. Okay, I want to talk about Max.
Okay.
I want to talk about Max Gracie. I want to talk about Max Blazkowski.
Yeah.
I mean, in all aspects, this version of Max is so much better than xenophobic Mel.
Yeah.
Max.
From the get-go.
From the get-go. Obviously Tom Hardy's a decent, he's a very good actor. He's acted as like the same person but twice on screen.
Like Bane and this guy. Is that what you mean?
No.
Oh, when he's the twins.
No, when he's the twins, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when Bane and Max was, they were in the same movie.
Well, I mean,
Bane and Max.
There's a part of this movie where he is wearing a mask and you can barely understand what he's saying.
Yeah.
So he was Bane. He's not as Yoke though.
He was definitely not as Yoke.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But go on with what you were telling me about Max Kickbowski, whatever his name is.
I mean, Max Blazkowski, who I think that guy's a soccer player. He plays the role that Mel Gibson was meant to play so much better.
Yeah.
Because he was interesting. He was interesting. You'd looked at him. I mean, the flashbacks helped. I thought they were a really good addition to, Max as a character. But just having him as you actually have no idea what this dude is about. He's just there trying to he's just trying to survive. He's eating two-headed lizards, which was an unbelievable opening scene. He just steps on the lizard and then he's just got the lizard in his mouth.
I do love that opening scene where it's just Max standing next to his car. I think he's urinating. Is that what he's doing?
I don't know.
Because otherwise, why is he standing outside of his car?
I mean, he's waiting for the lizard.
He's probably waiting for the lizard. Then he eats the lizard, runs back into his car, and is just in a chase scene from the start, and just gets absolutely flipped.
Which is fantastic because that's exactly what happened to Max in the previous 3 movies. He was a terrible driver, except for one time in the second movie.
That's right. The fantastic thing about him, and as well as what you were saying, the flashbacks help, but he brings an energy that is mad.
Yeah.
He brings an energy that is not only is he a survivor, obviously he's doing everything to survive, but he is like an animal at times.
When he escapes the first time What a scene.
And I think for that scene so he gets captured by Immortan Joe's crew, and then he gets taken back. They start shaving his head. They use him as a blood bag for Nicholas Hoult, who is one of the what are they called? Something boys.
The boys.
War boys.
War boys.
He's one of the war boys, and like he needs because they're like out there in radioactive land. They got scurvy. They need fresh blood. So Mad Max is his blood bag, which is hilarious as well.
But it just adds so much more to the world. There's just so many things. I mean, even just I'm tangenting a bit here, but that's what we'll do here.
We'll do it.
When they have the truck that goes up the platform that goes up and down in the Citadel,
Right.
and there's just dudes that are just turning the cogs.
They're walking on the cogs.
They're walking on the cogs to bring the platform up and down.
Yeah. You look in the background of this movie, you'll find something to enjoy.
Oh, you'll find something, and most times it'll be scurvy.
When Max is escaping initially from the war boys, I believe from my memory, this is my memory now, and I could have had scurvy between now and when I first heard about this, but they actually cut frames out of the shot to make it look as, it looks like it's just like moving really quickly, and it's almost like Max is moving in a way that makes him look animalistic, makes him look a bit crazy. But it's actually because
so it's a bit jittery.
Yeah, fragments have been cut out.
I know what you mean.
Just little bits though. So it doesn't actually, take you out of it that much, but it's enough for you to be like, there's something going on here.
Yeah. So the frame rate's not quite as smooth.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's, you talk about George Miller sitting there in hibernation. That's probably something he said, I'm doing that. He probably thought of that first. I'm doing
Back
this.
in my day, we didn't have that many frames. We've got to use them sparingly. Wait, someone...
You got calls coming.
I think got calls, but...
Dude, shout out George though. Do you want me to keep talking, or are you going to just cut
keep
this out?
talking.
One of the great things about Max is that I think this is the first time that Max is not as, in the previous three, the other characters around Max are more impressive, more exciting, more interesting. But I think this is the first time that Max is actually interesting because of how limited he is in his speech, like how much he actually speaks. But also, this is the first time where you feel like, I actually don't know this dude enough. Like, I don't know his story, but that's a good thing.
That's right. It's a good thing. And to go on again with how mad he is, when he's trying to he's using the file to take off the
mask.
The mask. Oh, that shows you everything you need to know about this character.
The whole fight scene when he first meets Furiosa is what you need to know about this character. About how he's just going to survive. He's fighting a one-armed woman, and he's like, he doesn't care who wins or who loses.
When he's in there with all the guns and he's taking them and he's like pulling them out. Oh, jeez.
He also actively was okay with just shooting a man's arm off. But then he ended up, because the arm was connected to him. But then he ended up, like, his bullets were not appropriate to do
bullets
that.
broke. Which, I mean, that's on brand for Mad Max.
One of the things that people like about this movie, and there is a prequel that is being made strictly based on this character, is Furiosa.
I mean, I'll argue that Furiosa is the main character of this movie.
Oh, you can argue that, and you could probably win that argument. The one thing that took me out of it initially, well, Charlize thereafter is Furiosa, and like she's friend of the show. She's been on here. We've had her on the Patreon. You can go find that. But whenever she would speak, I was like, I forgot that this person is American.
I think you're right. If Charlize Theron thereafter had an Australian accent, I think it would have been better.
It would have just it's not that it would have been better or worse. It just would have fit more, because I think it also worked well. It's sort of like a double-edged thing, and by thing I mean sword, because it was a bit jarring having it as an American accent, but also some of the War Boys' Australian accents were also jarring.
I didn't really notice that.
We're going to go to the Citadel. Like, and that,
yeah, but see, that's not, for me, that's not jarring, because that's just people talking weird.
It is people talking weird, but it's also people trying to be like, I'm going to be Australian.
Yeah, but that's okay.
I'm going to be like, that lady with the red hair.
That's okay, because
like
I got scurvy, bro. They
got scurvy, so they're allowed to, they have like little lumps on their thing, on their necks that they'll name.
They're allowed to say whatever accent they want.
That's true. But yes, that's the only thing that I didn't like about Furiosa. Other than that, also the fact that, much like Max, her dialogue is pretty limited, and there's times when she's like, I'm doing this for redemption. she's got these one-liners, and I was like, I mean, you could have given Furiosa a bit more. Like, you can leave Max with just saying, like that, but give Furiosa a little bit more to say. But other than that, like, I mean, you see Charlize thereafter driving a huge rig with one arm.
But the way she's driving it, she's got the switches of the kill switch. She's, pulling up levers and then putting down and changing gears.
Dude.
I want a car like that. I want a car that, you don't change gears normally. I got like 14 gears, and one of them I got to like pull a lever and then move something else.
Yeah.
The more, it's for me, and I'm a person who likes driving vehicles, the correct speed limit. And I'm telling you, the more actions I'm doing in a car, the more I'm having fun. If I'm driving an old car and I've got to like pump the clutch a couple times to change gears, I got to make sure, I'm putting the clutch all the way to the ground, because otherwise then it's going to crunch. That's bliss.
That's bliss for you.
That's bliss.
Yeah. I mean, if you got like, 17 war pups and like, 18 war boys chasing after you, like, I mean,
what's
that's
a war pup?
They're the little kids that are also the things, also in this movie. I'm just picturing like, all this craziness going on, and Vince is just in there smiling. Like, bro, this got 14 gears, man.
Oh, I would be.
You're getting shot at. You got 14 gears.
If you just tell me, hey, we're just going for a drive, we're just going for a squirt.
Yeah. Put a bit of squirt.
Put a bit of squirt.
Yeah.
And I don't have to worry about, there's people dying left, right, and center. Because as soon as I start thinking about that, then that's it.
I mean, if it's fight, flight, or freeze, and or squirt, like, you're not squirting anymore. One of the things about this movie is they actually do put a squirt in it when they like put in like gasoline into the
See, that things like that, it makes it more fun as a car chase.
Yeah,
because they're going, hey, I can spit more gasoline into the engine than you.
Well, there's so many working elements at once. It's not just the cars anymore. There's dudes crawling on the side. There's dudes floating up the top. There's a dude with a guitar. There's dudes on drums.
They got harpoons.
You can see all of it. There's not a point in this movie where things are moving too fast that you can't get a good glimpse of everything. Which is, again, like, you have to be able to choreograph this to a T to get it even close to what happened here. It was unbelievable that this movie exists in the way that it does.
I know.
I mean, there's very little faults in a crazy movie like this. The one fault I would say is that, like, I wish I could go back and watch it in the theater.
Yeah, this would be exciting,
dude. In the theater,
because
my heads are like, like that.
Scorsese, you seen this, bro?
Dude, Scorsese was there on his phone.
Scorsese was there. He was watching it on his phone while it was on the big screen.
Because I mean, if he's intending it in a way,
and you look at him and you go, Scorsese, is this how you intend?
Yeah, man.
And it doesn't take his eyes off, because that's how he intends. But yeah, and the soundtrack of this movie is exciting as well, because it's intense. The whole movie is intense.
It's also diegetic, if that's the word.
I don't know.
It could be. Oh, we've said this before. It could be could be diegetic, could be mise-en. I think all the soundtrack is strictly from what's going on in the piece. Like, you don't hear guitars and drums until the guitars and drums get into it.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I might be wrong in saying this.
You might be wrong. It might be Jesus. It might be mise-en-scene instead of like mise.
It might be Les Miserables or something, But we don't know.
I was making
about
a joke
this.
about how like they just missed, but that's okay. It didn't really make sense because that joke missed.
That's fair, but you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That's right. You also could miss all the shots that you do take, so you got to weigh that up.
That's true. Because like, if you don't take them, like, at least you don't have the embarrassment of missing all of them.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
You got to know when to hold them. You got to know when to fold them.
Know when to walk away, know when to run.
Yeah. I love that they went straight back to the Citadel. Max was
They just roll back. Huh?
Hope is a dangerous thing.
Yeah.
And that's a good line in the movie at the point that it was said by Max. Oh, Max. And they just go straight back to the Citadel. And then when they get to the Citadel and he's just walking out, and like they've got hope now because they got the seeds.
And then he leaves.
And then he just leaves. And that was the best way to end the movie. It didn't linger. They went their way and Max was just out. Because you just don't know. You do not know what the hell is going on in his brain because he's probably not well. And that is perfect. That is perfect in this movie.
He's not well, man, and he's a wanderer, and that is the premise. That's the coolest premise of this character, is that his story is like a legend in which he'll just roll up into a space, fix whatever's going on, and then roll out of there.
See, that's better than what happened. Well, I mean, no, it's similar to the second movie.
It's what happens in all the movies.
The third movie, we don't know what happened. They would just go to Sydney, apparently.
Well, they do, but he don't.
How do you know he done?
I mean, he might have walked to Sydney eventually, but he got to walk there.
Brother, he was on that plane. He was there.
He went on the plane, man.
You didn't see who was on the plane.
Don't you remember Tina Turner was like, "Hey, I'm going to spare you. I spare you." That's what she said. That's what she said to him.
That movie was too bad to stay in my memory for more than...
Let's just quickly give some ratings before we get into the final bit of this. This is like 9.2.
I was about to say, this is like a 9.5 out of 10. Yeah. And you know what? I don't know if you've played the Mad Max game.
It's quite good.
The Mad Max game is unreal.
Yeah.
In a time where, games are coming out and they're just milking you for $85. Because in Australia, games will be like $85 these days. And EB Games will say, like, sorry, this is the best price we can do. And JB Hi-Fi literally across the road has got it for like $70.
Yeah.
And they go, nah, 85. 85 is the best we can do.
It's all we can do. Like, we just do games here as well.
We just do games. Like, we're enthusiasts about games. Yeah. That's why they're more expensive.
That's why I own this establishment, because I'm enthusiastic about games and also about like merchandise for movies and things. Yeah. So if you come over to Zing, I'll hook you up with like a Groot statue and you'll get this for $85. So you pay $85 for this and then $10 for this Groot statue that will last you forever, bro. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Until you decide that you don't want that Groot statue no more.
Until like the Marvel Cinematic Universe is just no longer for you.
Yeah.
That's what happens, man. Look, here's what I want to say to you right now, Vincent. That was Mad Max Fury Road. And this being the back catalogue.
Apostoli. I had COVID.